All right, what's going on, guys? Chad here. Today we're going to be talking about why sales, why specifically tech sales, is the best freedom launchpad. And I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. And this is kind of going to be a raw chat. I'm going to be talking about tech sales, lifestyle, my story, freedom, building a life where you don't have to escape from, building a life where you can do what you want, where you want, and building skills and leverage to get you there. And if you don't know who I am, I'm Chad. I've made well over 10K per month in tech sales, more notably in one of the most competitive companies in the space, HubSpot. I've generated millions and millions of dollars in ARR. I've also closed massive amounts of ARR, MRR. And I've been a top performer consecutively out of 300 people, hundreds of people in both an SDR role and an account executive role, a closer role. I've also sold in many different spaces. I've sold in high ticket sales, tech sales. I'm well versed in the arena of remote sales, okay? And this is what I help people with on this YouTube channel. Okay, so without further ado, let's talk about tech sales and let's just get into it. I feel like I want to break down the spaces, okay? So remote sales is a space. And what that means is within the arena of selling remotely, which if you don't know what that means, it's basically selling products or services for companies or businesses that offer something. You sell that for them remotely, right? The world and the way the world is moving today, more and more companies are operating fully remotely. More and more sales are taking place online via Zoom calls or phone calls, just having chit chat with people. And when we start to get into the arena of high ticket deals, thousands and thousands of dollars, or just recurring thousands or hundreds of dollars per month, you need a person. You need a human being to have the trust to really fork over that cash in exchange for that service or product, right? And so this is why remote sales is so in such demand, okay? Because business needs sales. Every business needs sales to operate. The economy needs sales to operate for anything to be successful. Okay, sales is what helps the world go around. So you need, and people think that like sales is just, oh, like working in an office or going door to door or face to face. It's just not that, okay? There's so many countless opportunities online where you can work for a company, a team that has a service or product that they sell remotely, okay? Now there's different industries in the remote sales space. And again, we're straying away from real estate sales. We're straying away from door-to-door sales. We're straying away from, face-to-face selling in person, okay? We're straying away from that. That's not the space that I'm talking about here. We're talking about remote sales, okay? So that's kind of like the overall umbrella niche, right? So then you have the sub-niches, okay? And these are industries. You have tech sales. These are the top two, tech sales and high-ticket sales. You might have heard of this. This might be the first time you're hearing of it. I've sold in both of these. These are the top two ways that people are making money online, making money remotely just from their laptop through sales. Okay, and each of them has pros and cons, but a little about me. So I ended up getting into tech sales, okay? At first, I actually paid thousands and thousands of dollars for a high ticket sales mentorship, and I just ended up being guided into tech sales instead. Okay. And this was for a few reasons. And I learned the hard way. And this is what I'm sharing with you guys so that you guys can cut the line and get to the outcomes quicker because I've walked this journey. Tech sales is more stable for a beginner. So in tech sales, it's a lot easier to make money from the start. Okay. You have a comfortable base pay usually. You're in a company where there's a better structure in place if you find the right roles, which is what I help people with. There's usually more bigger teams. There's more managers and people that will train you and build you up to be a top performer. Whereas in high ticket sales, majority of these roles are going to be commission only. And what that means is when you're selling remotely over the phone, over Zoom, it's going to be a little scary at the start if you're a beginner, okay? Now, are there people who make tons of money and crush it in their first few months? Sure. Okay. But for the most part, it's going to be pretty hard to make money, good amount of money in the first 6 months or maybe longer. Okay, you're going to be making 1, 2, maybe 3, maybe 4K a month. Maybe. Okay, that takes a lot of skill to get to that. Okay, at the start. Okay, and so when you're in tech sales for a beginner, you're going to make more money. You're simply going to make more money, which when we talk about freedom, what is freedom? Okay. Freedom, everybody has their own version of it, right? There's not a static thing like freedom, but I know that after college, when I graduated, I was just so lost. I had no idea what to do with my life, and I was working just hourly 9 to 5 jobs. I wanted freedom. This is what I was driven to want. And honestly, I never even got too clear on what that even was, but I just knew somewhere I wanted to do what I wanted, where I wanted, how I wanted. And yes, that's very like, I know it's a very like, rebellious attitude, but it's absolutely possible. And what I had to do to work toward that, and I have more freedom than I know what to do with now, guys. Building a skill like I have curated, it doesn't matter what space you build it in, it's given me geographic freedom. It's given me leverage. It's given me thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to use in surplus, to use for mentorships, trainings, to network with people, to go to events, to hire mentors and coaches and people to further enhance my self-development in the areas that I'm interested in: spirituality, business, online business, YouTube videos. And it's what I do now, okay? But I wouldn't have been able to get here if I hadn't gotten into tech sales, okay? This is what helped me get a stepping stone in, okay? Literally just once I got into the right tech sales role as a beginner, absolute beginner with no skills, it took about, I think it was either 6 or 8 months to make basically my first 6 figures, which is like 8K a month. I think it was like 7 months, okay? I'm not 100% sure right now, but around that range, that's a pretty quick amount of time to make 6 figures. Most people go to school for lawyers or whatever. They don't even make that after like 5+ years of school. Okay. This industry is lucrative. Now, it's going to be different in high ticket sales because tech sales, there's a clearer progression track usually laid out. There's a clearer base pay, which means a base pay is basically what you get paid no matter what without selling anything. And on top of that, you sell or you book meetings, which is the entry level skill in tech sales, where you're an SDR or an appointment setter. You book meetings for closers who close the deals. So you don't even have to worry about closing deals. You make commission on just having a conversation with somebody, seeing if it makes sense to get on a call about your product with one of our specialists or account executives. And you make commission off of that on top of a base pay, which is usually like 50, 60K a year. Okay. So that's a very better off place to start, because at the end of the day, freedom is going to be how good you are at skills, okay? If you want to build independence, it's all reliant on the skills that you have, okay? And I believe that, especially in tech sales, a lot of it is B2B. B2B sales is a little harder, okay? But it's easier to work in a company B2B, right? And sell for that. B2B sales is a little harder because there's different teams and there's different people in a company, whereas in B2C, B2B is business to business. B2C is business to consumer, where it's like different types of products. Okay, it's not even a big deal. But tech sales, you're gonna learn so much. If you can get good at tech sales, you're gonna be good at whatever sales. Okay, because there's a little more complexities, and I'm giving you guys the real, authentic, raw information on what I would do and what I did to get where I am now, where I'm running my own business. I'm getting my own clients. I have the skill of sales. I'm networking with people. I'm building my legacy online. I'm working on my mission, my purpose. Tech sales was the stepping stone into that, okay? Now, what was I saying? I want to get back to, and by the way, I'm in a new place right now. I'm actually in Colombia, which is amazing, and I've been doing some travels. I just got back from a 5-day retreat with no phone, no technology, and it's completely reset my brain and given me newfound drive to help you guys. But as I was saying, if you can get good at tech sales, you're going to be a fucking killer. You're going to be good at sales. And being good at sales is the common denominator underneath every entrepreneur that is successful. find one entrepreneur that isn't using the skill of sales. Sales is communicating your value to another person. And if you want to be independent, and if you want your freedom, if you want to do whatever you want, wherever you want, however you want, you're going to need to know how to be independent and offer value to people and know how to make that transaction of value where you exchange cash for your services or product. Okay, find an entrepreneur that isn't using sales to some degree. I dare you. And this is why a lot of the entrepreneurs and a lot of the most like people like Mark Cuban, Warren Buffett, a lot more people, and I have other videos where I literally break down and watch these people and reverse engineer what they did to get where they are, and you can check those out on my channel. But a lot of them get into sales to start because it's like being an entrepreneur. It's like you are becoming an entrepreneur. It's an initiation. It's an initiation into entrepreneurship, okay? And as a beginner, you're gonna be better off in tech sales because of the base pay, because of the progression track, because of the clear, stable, predictable income versus a little more volatile space like high ticket sales where it's just commission. Imagine being just an absolute beginner, getting into a role like, yes, there's gonna be people that's gonna help you do it, but imagine, zero commission and having to be stressed and high pressure on making your money to survive when you're just getting started with this thing, okay? The people who are most successful in high ticket sales, they're the best at the skill, okay? So the cheat code is to get good at the skill. And I think that the better way to do that is in tech sales where people train you. There's top performers already doing the thing that you can learn from. There's training and development. A lot of times they'll invest in you and they'll give you money to use for coaching and stuff like that, which I've done. And also you have more freedom, right? So a lot of people want high ticket sales because of the freedom aspect where they just want to be, they want to be in Bali one day. They want to be all the way across the world the next day and kind of this la freedom. And that actually is kind of a dream sell. That's actually selling a little bit of a dream with the high ticket sales. I've lived it. Now, absolutely, you can have more geographic freedom, which, by the way, tech sales gives you, if you find the right role, you can get full remote freedom, okay? But it's trickier than this, okay? And a lot of tech sales roles will like you to stay in your country, right? But a lot of them will give you like 90 days in a year to like live abroad and work abroad. But it's just a little more tricky because it's like a corporation. But with that comes the benefit of having that consistent safety net, base pay, and the skill acquisition of it. And then, if you want down the line, you can jump into high ticket sales once you've built some capital skills so that you can take risk. You have runway to take risk. But if you're in debt and you're just out of school and you need cash now, prioritize cash. That's tech sales, okay? If you just want to make like 1 to 3K a month and you have runway and you don't need to make a ton of money right now and you're not trying to optimize for that, you can get into high ticket sales, okay? But as I was saying, it's still a dream sell. They're selling you a dream to a degree. Okay, now you can have full geographic freedom, but I have a friend who works in high ticket sales. He's been doing this for years, guys. He's had crazy amount, over 10K plus months, okay? Now, he works for a US offer, a US team company that he sells a high ticket sales product for, and he lives in Thailand, okay? Or he has actually been living in Thailand. We're linking up soon. And you might think, wow, that's the dream, right? But I had a conversation with him. He actually couldn't live the lifestyle that he wanted because he had to work all night. Why? Because the company he was working for, the prospects, which are the people that he's selling to, were in a different time zone. They were all across the world, right? They were on the other side of the world. And so what that meant is he physically couldn't sell, couldn't reach people, couldn't get in touch with people, couldn't take calls with people unless he worked all night. Okay. Now there are people out there that, that are on offers where it allows them to do that, right? And work during the day in that country. But that means you have to find the right offer, right? And so the better you get at the skill of sales, selling yourself to other companies, selling yourself to teams, that's going to be what's going to allow you to navigate your geographic freedom. Because you might not want to be on one offer, one company, and work for one company and have to and work overnight or have your hours switch up every time you travel. Like, it's just not as it seems when it comes to what you're being sold online, okay? And I'm here to share that with you. And so the best thing to do, in my opinion, is just forget about the geographic la freedom, here one day, here the next, okay? Forget about it for a brief moment. Get good at sales. The better you get at sales, the more freedom you're gonna have, the more competence you're gonna have, the more runway you're gonna have to take risks, okay? The more competence you're gonna have to get any role, okay? And so it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you'll be able to pick up this skill once you have it and apply it to anywhere, right? If you want to figure out how to work from Thailand, you could do that. If you want to figure out how to work from Scandinavia, you can do that. But the foundations is what is going to launch you into that life of freedom. Now, maybe you just go into tech sales and start using that capital and start building a business and starting something up, and then that takes off, and then you're fully operating on your own, and then you can travel wherever you want. But also, even then, if you're running a business and taking clients, for example, me, a lot of people I work with are either in the UK or the US or some of these main countries, or Canada. And, you know, it's difficult for me if I'm in Thailand on a different time zone to really help them and work with them. Now, that doesn't mean that I can't do that. It just means that a chunk of my day is going to be used differently, whereas I'm going to be in a different time zone. Right? And so you have to think about this stuff. So sales specifically, let me demystify this thing for you, okay? Geographic freedom is possible, but the better you get at the skill, the more competence you're going to have, the more freedom you're going to have, the more runway you're going to have, and also the better you're going to be at business, because sales is learning business from the inside, okay? Now, I know this is kind of like a raw chat today, but after 5 days with no phone, this is just what's been cooking on my brain, is just to give people the look, okay? Now, everybody's different. Everybody has their preferences. Some people just don't care about anything. They just want to figure out how to make their first few $1,000s a month and live in Thailand or live abroad. Other people want to make their quickest 10K a month possible, quickest 6 figures possible, and they have bills to pay and they have debt. Okay, everybody's in a different situation. And now, regardless of if you want to get into tech sales or high ticket sales, this is what I help people with, okay? I help people understand the remote sales space and get into the right role for them, okay? The majority of my time has been in tech sales, and this is why I recommend people start there. But regardless of where you're at, if you need help with this, this is something I help people with, okay? So the first link in the description, I'm actually opening up some more spots soon. I just recently closed off my one-on-one mentorship, which is where I'm literally helping people hands-on, going through each phase, building your resume, finding the right companies based on your values, lifestyle, helping you navigate interviews, practice interviews, helping you sell yourself to these companies, helping you close your first deal, which is that sale that takes place when you get hired for a company, when you get hired for a team. That's what I'm helping people with in my one-on-one mentorship. So yeah, I've recently opened up some new spaces. If you want to apply for that, I only can work with a few people at a time. The first link in the description, you can book a call with me. The call itself is free, but it is to talk about whether it makes sense for us to work together. So on that call, it's just no pressure. I'll ask you about what's kind of going on, what your goals are, and if I can help you, I'll let you know. And if not, then I'll let you know that as well. And it's no pressure either way. So click that if you want to check that out. If you want to jumpstart your journey into tech sales and maybe you're not in a position where you feel like you want mentorship, I wrote an entire book, a full free guide on breaking into your first tech sales role. Everything from interviews, mock call scripts, how to cold call, like all of this stuff, mindset, limiting beliefs. Second link in the description is going to be that, where you can just get that for free. And just read that. A lot of people have literally gotten roles completely just using that alone. So it depends on where you are, where you're at, how fast you want to go, if you want to fast track this. I personally have always benefited from mentorship, but it's totally up to you guys. So, all right, that's all for today. Enjoyed this video. I'm back, so keep a lookout for more content from me. I'm out for now. Take care. Bye-bye.